everyone. We're so glad you could join us this morning. My name is Cindy Cool, and with me, of course, is Joyce Nichols. And again, if you've been on our webinars before, you know we've been in the ACT training and consulting business for over 20 years. And that's, again, our passion to share with you ideas and ways to help you get the most out of ACT. You know, these days people are talking about detoxing the environment and detoxing even their bodies and just getting more healthy. So today we're going to be talking about detoxing your database, how you can get your database to be more healthy and how you can have it run more efficiently and just have a better performance out of it. So Joyce is going to be going through these 8 different techniques and tips that we have to share with you. That hopefully all of you are either doing them maybe already, or if you're not, you should be doing them to keep your database just running more smoothly. So again, what a welcome, Joyce, to be able to share these 8 tips with you. But first, a few things, just as a reminder. If you have any questions, please post them in the questions box. If we can, we'll go ahead and answer those during our webinar. If not, we'll make sure we get the answer back to you. You will be sent a link to this recording in a couple of days, so please watch your email for that. Again, Joyce is going to be using ACT for Windows to be showing these tips to you, but if you're using exclusively ACT for Web, some of these things may be slightly different, so let us know that as well, and we can help you determine that as well. And again, anytime you're looking at whether you want to go ACT for Web and or stay with ACT for Windows or whatever version you're on, anything like that, we're here to help you make sure you're on the most effective version for what you're wanting to do. So again, Joyce, I'm going to let you take it away, and let's get their database healthy again.
Thanks, Cindy. And again, I'm glad you're joining us as well. One of my favorite things to do is to analyze databases and work with clients to clean up their databases to make it run much more smoothly and efficiently for them. And one of the first things I do, we have clients frequently who send us their databases for database analysis. And one of the first things that I do when I'm analyzing a database is I take a look at the task list. Hopefully you are all using the calendar. One of the great things about the ACT calendar is that when we schedule things on the calendar and then clear them, it automatically posts back as history onto the contact record. So again, it's one of the great features of using the ACT calendar. But what happens sometimes is that people will place things on the calendar and they don't clear them. Or else perhaps you have a user that has left the company and no one went in and cleared up all of those users' activities. So let's go to the task list. And the task list is a different way to view the calendar. It just is in a list form. So the first thing that I do is when I'm analyzing a database, I filter for just the past activities. And I look at all types, and I look at all users. Now again, these are just giving you an idea. A more realistic scenario is, well, first of all, you'll notice at the bottom, there are 444 past activities. A more realistic scenario, when I do this with a database, there will be thousands of activities. A lot of times I see activities that are even going back into the 1990s because users have not cleared the activity from their calendar. So a teaching time for you with your users is to let them know if they're going to schedule something on the calendar, they need to clear it. Because otherwise all of those activities, they stay on the calendar, they just kind of clog up your system. So I like to also put the scheduled by. Again, remember, any list view can be customized. And so I put the scheduled by, and I can use this, or you can use this as a teaching time, put the scheduled by, and then you can sort that. And then that way, if you see like maybe John Doe, he's the one that's really not clearing his activities, then you can go to him and say, look, John, if you're going to use this, you got to clear those activities. So anyway, what I do is I sort. So the oldest dates are first, so I get an accurate picture. And then if I want to delete the activity, what I do is I select the first one. And again, for demonstration purposes, I'm just going to do a few. And then I hold the Shift key down, and I select the last one. And you could do, 1,000 of these at a time, or maybe 500 at a time. So these are the activities that we want to get rid of. Now, when I right-click, I have the option to clear multiple activities. Well, the default is completed. And I seldom check completed because that's really can give you an inaccurate picture, because like back in 2012, I don't know if that activity was completed. So again, remember, if I choose completed, that's going to post back as history, and it may give me an inaccurate picture of the contact that I've had with the client. So what I recommend is to erase the activities and then just choose OK. And then those activities, yes, I'm sure I want to delete them. And then we can go ahead and delete those activities. And then I can go on to the next batch. So again, one of the first places I go is to look to see the uncleared activities. The way that ACT is written is that information is stored into different tables. So the histories are stored in the histories table. The cleared activities are stored into a cleared activities table. So once I clear an activity, remember that it posts back as history. So I really don't need to keep that cleared activity, but again, the way that ACT is written, it retains all those cleared activities. So I would go to the task list, and then on the far right, in the upper corner in the far right, you have an options button. And if you click options, so notice right now I have 444 activities, and I'm going to click options and choose show cleared. Now you will have probably, hopefully you'll have thousands upon thousands of cleared activities, because that means that your users are using the calendar. So you'll notice I now have 1,677. I can tell a cleared activity because there'll be a strike through the cleared activity. So that's how I can see that, yes, this activity is a cleared activity. So again, there's really no reason to keep those. It's just overhead in your database. So as part of database maintenance, on a regular basis, you can click on the Tools menu, Database Maintenance, Remove Old Data. And this is what you'll want to place a check mark in, cleared activities older than. And again, remember, we're just deleting those unnecessary cleared activities. The history is still going to be retained, so you can feel comfortable in doing this. Now, some users like to look on their calendar and physically see on their calendar a cleared activity, maybe for the last year. For my database, it doesn't bother me, I don't care. So I clear mine out, every 60 days or so. But again, depending on your users, you might want to keep a year's worth. But again, you probably will have thousands of these that you can delete. So you just specify the date range, choose OK, and then it will tell you how much data there is to remove, and then you can go ahead and choose OK. So that's clearing activities and clearing cleared activities and clearing uncleared activities. That was kind of confusing to say. I also want to show you how you can take a look at the history list to look at possibly histories that you no longer need. We had a company contact us last month to analyze their database and give recommendations. And when I looked at the history list, there were over 1,300,000 histories. And it's like, oh my word, how could that be possible? So let's take a look at the history list. And the history list is really an invaluable tool for you. We've had other webinars in the past as far as using the history, creating reports from the history list, that sort of thing. So as you're using ACT, you may not know that ACT is creating some system histories for you. So for instance, when you delete a history, when you delete a contact, ACT will create a history for you. So as an example of this particular database that had over a million histories, I thought, how could that be? So what I did, the first thing that I did was I went into my system changes, and I wanted to see just the contact changes. So the contact changes would be contacts deleted, links. So again, when you link a contact to a company, ACT creates a history. So I went into contact changes, And I just, because again, it was so many, I wanted to segment it into little portions. So I went in and I looked, and they had over 300,000 contact deletions going back to 1992. So again, here's your contacts that are deleted, and you can always sort these by, I sorted them by the date, and so I could see how far back these contacts were. And at the bottom of your history list, it will notate the number of contacts that you have chosen to see. So again, if you don't need these contacts, again, I'm just going to demonstrate how to do this. You can click the first one, hold the shift key down, click the last one, right click, and delete selected. And again, you'll get a warning message. Are you sure you want to do this? And again, you can do 1,000 at a time. You don't want to do several thousand at a time. It can cause problems with your system. But you can do it maybe 1,000 at a time, something like that. So that is one of the areas that I always look at as far as the system changes. Another area that I look at is, besides the contact changes, I look at what's called system changes. And this is specifically the field changed area. I'm going to go ahead and select all of them. I'll deselect this. So you can set fields in ACT that will generate history upon change of the field. And that's what we're going to see when we look at these system changes. The ID status, by default, is a field that generates history. Again, that can always be turned off. But here's an example of what you'll see. So there's a field changed. The ID status changed from D customer to C customer. Again, we had field changes that went back 20 years that were not needed. So that's another thing that you possibly can delete, are all those system changes regarding the field changes. So we also looked at the e-marketing. So this company uses Axe e-marketing. They had over 600,000 emails that were specified for send campaigns. And again, if you do e-marketing, you'll understand what a send campaign is. Those histories really aren't necessary, because once you send a campaign, you're going to get reports back as far as the contacts and their interaction with that particular send campaign. So that's something else that you'll want to look at. So again, sometimes it's overwhelming. You have hundreds and hundreds of thousands of histories. So you can do these in chunks. Again, I'd start out with the contact changes, the system changes, take a look at e-marketing. And this particular company had been using ACT since 1992. So we looked just in general at activity histories. They only wanted to keep the last 10 years worth of histories. So again, we were able to take that 1,300,000 plus, and it ended up with about 500,000 histories. So again, you can see if we delete that much, then that's going to make your database a lot faster, take up a lot less space, and make your searches and sorters faster. When you have a lot of cleanup, a tool that we use is the History Cleanup Wizard. And I'd like to show you what that looks like. It's a really slick little tool at a nominal cost. And let's go to the list view. And I'm going to click on Tools, History Cleanup Wizard. So what this will allow you to do is select by range the type of history you'd like to delete. So for instance, to delete that send campaign, we just went down and we manually selected, where are you, the send campaign in the particular date range. And then we just said, yes, continue. And this little utility did all of the deletion for us. You also can be very specific as far as just for a particular record manager. So perhaps a person has left, they left the company, 6 years ago. You don't need to keep their information. So again, you can specify just for a record manager. And also if you have a delete histories, have a specific information in there regarding. So that's a tool that we use a lot. And again, that's the History Cleanup Wizard for ACT. And Cindy can give you some information on that towards the end of our webinar. Once you have cleaned up your database, or as you are cleaning your database, it's really important to check and repair the database. So the analogy that I can give you is if you have a filing cabinet drawer that's just chock full of files, you take half of them out, well, the other remaining files are just going to kind of lay there in a clump. So what you do is, you take that metal plate and you push it back up and compress those files so they stand up nice and straight. Well, that's kind of the same concept, what we do when we're working with a database. You can think of it similarly as defragging your hard drive. So as you clean up your database, I would strongly suggest that you click on the Tools menu, Database Maintenance, Check and Repair. That is what you'll see what ACT is going to do. So you'll choose OK, and ACT will go through and reorganize and compact your database for you. So during the cleanup process, it's important to do this maybe after every 5,000 to 7,000 things that you delete. Also, this can be set to run on a weekly basis, which every ACT database, really every database in general, should be compressed and re-indexed on a regular basis. And that can be accomplished automatically through the ACT scheduler, Tools, ACT scheduler. And again, we can set that so that database compact happens on a regular basis every week. And again, if you need help with that, please let us know. One of the things that we do when we analyze a database or we work to detox a database is we run a field analysis report. And I have one created that I'd like to show you. The field analysis report lists every field in the database. And the specific thing that we look at is this non-empty field. And also there's a recommendations, it recommends, this hasn't been used, do you want to delete it? So this allows you to look at all of the fields in your database to see how they're being used. As an example, I can see that, this field right here, that looks like the department, whoopsie, excuse me, didn't mean to do that. Let me go back to the database. There we go. Let's go back to this report. Looks like this department, that was used 1,162 times. So again, it allows you to take a look at how your fields are being used. One of the important things is, do I need fields that are in the database that I don't even use? Do I need those? So if we look at equipment type, for instance, here's a field called equipment type. That looks like it's being used. But here's one called forklift class. Well, that's never been used. It has no data. So, gee, do I even need this field? So again, if you have a lot of fields that you're not being used, you might as well go ahead and delete them. What we find from our clients is when we show them this report, they see fields they didn't even know were in the database. They had no idea that the field was in the database. So how can that be that someone doesn't know that fields are in the database? We had a client that we ran this report on, and there were over 500 fields in this report that they had never seen before. They didn't know they were in the database. The reason they didn't know they were in the database was because they were not on the layout. So if a field is not on the layout, you don't know it's there. So how do you find those fields? How do you see those fields that aren't on layouts? What I do is click on the Tools menu, Design Layout, and we'll just look at the contact layout for now. And I'm going to click on a user field, just so I can have some space here. And I'm going to go to the toolbox on the far left, and I'm going to select field. I mean, there are different types of fields that you'll want to look at, but today we'll just select field. And when I click, this box will show all of the fields that are not currently on the layout. So as I look through here, I see, oh, there's account type, there's customer type, there's equipment type that are not on the layout. So what companies do is we put these fields on the layout for them, and then they can see what kind of data is in the field again, this particular company that had over 500 fields they weren't seeing, I put all of those fields on the layout for them. What we do is just create tabs called fields not on layout, and they they analyzed those, and they ended up deleting over 250 of those fields. So again, you can imagine the difference that made to the size of their database. So again, that's one thing that you'll want to look up is the fields not on the layouts, and to see if you need those fields. I'm going to go ahead and close this. Most of you are creating groups, and groups are saved lookups. So one of the things that I do also is I look at a company's groups, because what I find is they'll have a lot of groups that they're not using anymore. Maybe past users, past employees created the groups, or maybe they created the groups for a specific trade show or for a specific project that they were working on, and they just don't even pay attention. They just leave those groups there. So clean up your groups. Remember, when you delete a group, you're not deleting the contact. You're just deleting that group that you created to put those contacts in. And it's very easy to delete a group. All you do is just right-click on it and then just choose delete. Again, you're not deleting the contacts, you're just deleting the groups. The last thing I'd like to show you when we talk about detoxing databases is, what do you do with duplicates? It's hardly, most databases that we work with have duplicates. Sometimes it's just hard to avoid them through whether you're importing or your users are not looking up the contact first before they enter a new contact. Again, there's just different reasons why you can have duplicates. We'll wait till this database opens. ACT provides a tool for scanning for duplicates. I'm going to click Tools, Scan for Duplicates. With ACT, you can scan on matching up to 3 different criteria, and you can manipulate these fields to get different results. So if the company, the contact, and the phone, if they all are exactly the same, then ACT will find them. So here it found 36 duplicates. And what you'll want to make sure is that you really look carefully at the email address, the phone number, to make sure that they are true duplicates. So if I look at Leslie Benedict, I see, it looks to me like it's a duplicate. So ACT provides under Tools, Copy, Move Contact Data, a way that you can merge those contacts. You have to do it one at a time. So again, if you have a lot of duplicates, I've got another option for you. ACT will look on exactly the company name, the contact name, and the phone number. So it has to exactly match. But what ACT doesn't do is it doesn't have what's called in the computer world fuzzy matching. That means if I look at Emily Dunn, if I look for duplicates on the address 1, it's not going to find this. Even though this is the same contact, the address is different. Here's another one right here, where the address is similar, but this is East and this is E. It's still the same contact. So what we use is a tool. It's a nominal cost tool. It will clean up the duplicates for you automatically, merge them, but you can also use this fuzzy matching. Again, you may think your database is clean because you've been using the ACT duplicate checker, but in reality, you have a lot of these situations where, again, the address is the same, but there's maybe some different spellings. So I already have this program open, and it's called the Duplicate Removal Wizard Expert for ACT. And one of the neat things about this program is that you can scan for duplicates on your contact records, but also the company records, which is a great feature. Here I can look at 5 different criteria. So I could have 5 different criteria. And here is where I can apply the fuzzy matching. So for company, what would be an example of a fuzzy matching for company? Well, maybe one record for Joyce has Training Solutions. Another record for Joyce has Training Solutions, Inc. Again, so this apply fuzzy matching, you'll be surprised at how many more duplicates this finds as opposed to the ACT duplicate checker program. And again, this is for a nominal fee as well. So I truly hope that this has given you what you need for ideas to detox your database.
All right, thanks, Joyce, so much. Yep, thank you again so much. Yeah, so there's just so much that you can do with your database. And again, for those of you who've been using ACT for quite a while, you probably didn't even realize all these different features and aspects are available. And again, this is a database. It's like a car. It has to be maintained. A lot of information goes in and out of your database, so it has to be maintained to keep it running smoothly and to make sure your data does not get corrupted. So if you want us to, we're happy to take a look at your database and give you some recommendations. And our typical price for that is $195, sorry. But because of your attendance at our webinar, which is a thank you for attending and being interested in what we have to say, if you want us to take a look at your database, we'll be happy to do that for $145. Joyce will do the analysis. She'll do a field report analysis. She'll look at all your histories, your activities, give you recommendations. We won't change your data. We don't do that without anybody giving us the approval to do that. But she will give you all the recommendations to make sure your database is detoxed and running more smoothly. So please let us know if you're interested in that. Again, special for you guys that are on the webinar to save a little money and also get your database analyzed as well. All right, so our next webinar is coming up. The next one is going to be July 7th. If you go to the next, there you go. Watch for emails from us to know the topics. We have a couple different ideas, and so we'll let you know which one we've come up with for July 12th. The next one after that, to put on your calendar as well as August 9th. So please let us know if there's any particular topics you'd like us to cover. We would be happy to do that. If there's anything in particular that you want to know more about ACT, let us know. Again, thank you for joining us today. We really appreciate that you are interested in what we have to share with you. And as always, our contact information is there. Please let us know if there's anything that we can answer for you in regards to ACT and making it work better for you and your business. Thank you so much.